Hi, I'm Dr. Hackey Reitman. Welcome to another episode of Exploring Different Brains. And today we have Tom Deary. And Tom is one of the co-founders and the chief operating officer of Rising Tide Car Wash, which you're going to hear about in a little bit. And in the field of neurodiversity, Tom is a champion, and you're going to learn why. Tom, welcome to Exploring Different Brains.
Thank you, Hackey. I'm really happy to be on the show.
Well, listen, I got to tell you, when I got my car washed at Rising Tide Car Wash, my big Yukon XL, they did a great job. Let me tell you, very professional. Why don't you tell us about yourself and about Rising Tide Car Wash, because I'm all excited about it, and I know about it, and I want our viewers to hear it right from the horse's mouth.
Cool, Hackey. So Rising Tide Car Wash was founded by my father, John, and I. We needed to kind of think of a solution for my brother, Andrew. When Andrew was 21 years old, it became really apparent that without our help, he wasn't going to be able to find the meaningful employment and build that full and independent adult life that he's so capable of. There's about 80% unemployment among individuals with autism, so we realized that this wasn't just an issue with Andrew or his specific situation. This was kind of a systemic issue across the autism community. So my dad is a successful entrepreneur. He's built multiple businesses over the course of his career. I had just graduated business school, and we decided to take action. So we looked at a bunch of different things, found that the car wash really was a great fit. It's a conveyorized car wash. We do exterior only car washes as well as full service and express detailing. And with that, we have about 35 individuals with autism working for us. That makes about 80% of our staff. Hackey, as you mentioned, they're really precise. They're really detail oriented. They really have a lot of enthusiasm for the work. And that creates a competitive advantage for our business, and it also creates a really great tool to educate the community about how capable people with autism are. Because as you saw, when you leave, you're left with a great quality of service. You felt that they did a great job, and you got good customer service as well. And it was done by pretty much everybody with autism. So that is essentially our goal with Rising Tide Car Wash, is to show how capable people with autism are by delivering a better car wash product than a normal car wash would.
And even though Different Brains goes all over the world, in case anyone's local, why don't you give them the address of the Rising Tide Car Wash?
Yeah, so we are located at 7201 North State Road 7 in Parkland, Florida. So just north of Hillsborough Boulevard on 441 in Parkland.
Yeah, so like when I go to visit Rebecca, who lives near Glades in 441, I come down 441 and I pull in there. It's convenient and it's good. A good bang for the buck, and do a great job. Now, let's back up a little bit. Tell us about Can Do Business Ventures.
Yeah, so as we started, we wanted to really take a research-oriented approach to figuring out what type of business model we wanted to build. We had no experience in the car wash and industry, and that was one of the kind of variety of industries that we looked at. We wanted to build a business that was consumer-facing, that was really local and created a community of individuals with autism, and also invited the broader community into that business. We wanted something that was kind of big and bold, and we wanted something that was scalable, that could really be an answer for other families as well. So we started Can Do to kind of suss out what the actual business model was going to be. So we did research by, primary research going out into the autism community, understanding what a lot of individuals with autism could be really good at, understanding why there is such high unemployment among people with autism, and then trying to fit a solution around that. And we found that the core reason we believe there's such high unemployment among people with autism is that it's looked at as a disability that requires sympathy instead of a potentially really valuable diversity, and that people with autism can be exceptional employees in a variety of roles. Many individuals with autism have a great eye for detail, really follow process and structure better than typical individuals do. and that there is just a general enthusiasm among our employees that you don't get with typical employees, honestly, because they haven't been given the chance to prove themselves in a lot of other situations. So for a lot of our employees, this is their first job, and they have for the first time in their lives, getting the chance to say, hey, look, I can be a really capable member of society, and people thrive on that.
Well, you know, the vibes at the Rising Tide Car Wash, even in the customer area, is so good. And I think you're killing about 10 birds with one stone. Now, I just spoke up at FAU at their Autism Speaker Series, and we had almost a fight break out amongst, you know, when the people get passionate during question and answer periods. And we had one person talking about her son with Asperger's who's trying for a job with Microsoft, and kind of made, I don't know, a disparaging remark about there are a lot more jobs than, you know, washing cars or being a bag boy at Publix. And of course, other parents in the audience took exception to it, and I did too. One of the things we do at Different Brains is try to get everybody to play nicely in the sandbox. So, you know, I say, look, my folks had a gas station. My mother pumped gas, you know, brought up 4 kids and everything. And I've been to the Rising Tide Car Wash, and they do exceptional work, and it's a great business model too. You know, one of the things I like to stress is that it costs businesses about $30,000 for employee turnover. And when you have someone with autism, and we should stress, as you do, I know, that you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. I was looking at the people and interacting with them a little bit, working at Rising Tide, and they're as just different as can be from each other. They're not out of a cookie cutter. The thing they have in common is they're loyal, they're honest. I don't think they could lie if they wanted to. They love the attention to detail with repetitive things that so many of us don't like to do. And it's a great thing. And I think that what's happened in the public domain is you think of, well, yeah, Apple and Google and Microsoft, for people with a very high functioning Asperger's who know all those numbers, like, you know, my daughter Rebecca was one of 9 women to get a discrete mathematics degree, whatever that is. But you make the point, and I love the fact that you walk the walk, you and your dad and your brother and your family, instead of talking the talk. And I want you to expound upon it a bit more. You see, I'm approaching employers from Different Brains and saying, look, don't do this to be nice. Do it so you can make more money, so you can give better customer service. Do it for selfish reasons, and here's why. If you give these people a little bit of help that we all need, because I've yet to meet the person who's the entire package themselves. So I'd like to expound upon it from the businessman's point of view, why this is good for your business. And if you could give some examples, that would be great too.
Absolutely, yeah. So there is a variety of competitive advantages that we have by employing people with autism. So first, as you alluded to, Hacky, there is a wide variety of people with autism, not only just working for us, but across the spectrum. And our employees really work together in a variety of different roles. So we have so like I said, 80% of our staff is on the autism spectrum. So we have certain individuals with autism guiding customers onto the conveyor. We've had individuals with autism that can load over 100 cars in an hour. And that's at about an 85% efficiency rate, which is off the charts for our industry. Also, you look at the attention to detail and just the enthusiasm and customer service that you get. That is a thing that you don't typically get in the car wash industry. And the turnover rate, our turnover is, last year it was 30%. In an industry that's average turnover is between 100 and 250% a year. So it is drastically lower, and that allows us to really invest in our employees in training and give them the tools to grow in our organization and provide just a great quality of service to the community. And kind of when you wrap all that together, we took a car wash here in Parkland that was really struggling when we bought it. When we bought it, it was washing about 3,000 cars a month. to one now that because we employ people that are really good at the work and create a great atmosphere and really take pride in the work. We watched close to 17,000 cars last month. We watched 16,700 cars. We've really just blown the cover off the ball from a business perspective, and that's because of how great our employees are. And I mean, it is our core competitive advantage, and there's a lot of different industries that this would also work in. So, you mentioned things like Microsoft and technology, and you mentioned that works for a portion of the autism community. And I think that the key is that if you look at things that are detail-oriented, process-driven, most industries have those jobs in them, whether they be high-tech or something like car wash, and there's a meaningful subset of the autism spectrum that works well in each one of those. So for someone who has an IQ of 180, yeah, that's an awesome job to work at Microsoft. And for people that are more impacted than something at a car wash, this is like you said, it's real work. They're providing value to the community, and they take pride in it, and they're happy to be here. I mean, the impact that we've had on our employees from, a lot of our employees come to us really significantly bullied when they were in high school. This is the first time that they're part of a community of peers. They feel like they're valued. We call this kind of like their locker room in a lot of cases, that they have finally a team that they believe that they fit in and provide value to. You have people like one of our employees, Justin, came to us, barely really ever spoke. We didn't, for the first 3 months of him working with us was really quiet and reserved because he didn't have a lot of confidence. Today, he's one of our supervisors. He wears a radio. He's actually super funny. And that confidence came out because he got the chance to prove himself in a real work environment, in a real business.
Very cool. I know you're a modest guy, Tom, but I want you to tell our audience about, you were selected to speak at the United Nations World Autism Awareness Day event, Employment, the Autism Advantage, in April 2015 at UN headquarters. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, it was a wonderful event. There was people representing large corporations like Microsoft and SAP, and then there were some smaller entrepreneurs like ourselves at Ultra Testing. And I mean, it was amazing. It was the first event I had ever been to where everybody was talking about autism, not as a disability that we need to feel sorry for, but as a real advantage for their businesses. And we all presented, why we felt that way. A lot of us backed it up with data. And that was a marked day for me because I had never been to anything that everybody really got it. And I think that message is what we need to get out into the community to really solve the 80% unemployment that our community faces.
It's the entrepreneurial, the small businesses too, the mom and pops that the country was built on. Of course, I'm a lot older than you. I grew up in the 50s in Jersey City, and that's where two people with high school educations could really start a business and make it go. And that spirit is not dead, and it's still very possible. And now, of course, with modern technology and everything else, there's a lot of different ways to go. I think the Rising Tide Car Wash and, the Can Do Business Ventures are great examples of this in what our country needs to give everybody the opportunity to be productive, happy, healthy, safe, and have some kind of social life with their peers. Work is a big source of social life. What have you done found in partnering with the community, with different organizations and so forth? What's been your experience?
So really positive. I mean, our community has, the Parkland community specifically, has really rallied around the business. The local school district is our closest partner when it comes to recruiting our employees. They're the job coaches and the special education teachers play a vital role in both helping us staff the business as well as helping us spread the word about our business to the local community. And because of partnerships like the school district and Center for Autism and Related Disabilities at both University of Miami and FAU, the business has worked really well, and we're building another store in Margate that should employ another 50 individuals with autism or so. So that's about 4.5 miles from our first location. And without community partners like the ones I mentioned, and Dan Marino Foundation and the ARC, there's no way that would be possible. And further, one more thing about our community partners, the University of Miami has been just an incredible partner, their card center, and under Dr. Michael Alessandri, that they've actually helped us get some funding to spread this message across the country and spread that idea of autism entrepreneurship to communities all over the country and maybe even all over the world. And I mean, we wouldn't be where we are today without community partners like you're talking about.
Well, that's so encouraging to hear that. For our audience who might be thinking of starting their own business or a similar model for others, okay? So say there's another Tom Derry out there and listening to this, and they go, you know what, I want to set up an organization and I want to do what Tom did. Now, do you recommend they set up as a for-profit or a not-for-profit?
I think there's advantages to both of those models. What we always say is that we want to recommend that people look at a business model that works and design a rich employment experience within that business model. So the car wash is an example of that, where it's a business model that we know works. There's close to 20,000 of them across the country. It's a very well-defined business model, and we figured out how to design an employment experience that's really empowering. That if people want to learn more about that model, we do offer training to help people bring that to their communities. As far as other business models, it's kind of the same approach. And if the business model works, then you want to be a for-profit because there's ownership in that. A lot of the times we're starting these businesses, almost exclusively starting these businesses to either provide employment to ourselves if we're a self-advocate or to a loved one that we have. And ownership is a big part of that. And that doesn't exist in a nonprofit model. I think the key takeaway, though, is regardless of if you choose a nonprofit model or for-profit model, the nonprofit's great if you're trying to raise grant funding to start up and you don't have really any other options. But that we figure out a way that it's sustainable with the actual work that's being done and the income that's being earned through the valuable service or product that you're providing.
Very well said. Now, I want you to tell our audience where all your locations are for those of us who want to come out and support your businesses, and where you might be thinking of opening next, and any other business ventures you're getting into with the Rising Tide Car Wash and with the Can Do Business.
Yeah, so right now we have our store in Parkland. Like I said, we're building another store in Margate, Florida. We are actively looking for partners to help us grow this model, both here in South Florida as well as in other places across the country. We're offering training at our store in Parkland, and when the new one opens, hopefully at the end of this year, we'll be offering training there too to other people that are looking to bring this model to their communities. And as far as other business models, we're really focused on doing what we do well, which is the car wash. And then we're working with, like I said, University of Miami to spread the ideas, like the broader ideas, where people can kind of take it and run with it in their own concepts.
Got it. Well, that's great. And how do our viewers find out more about you and Rising Tide? What are some of the websites and phone numbers you want to tell us about?
Yeah, so if you go to risingtidecarwash.com, that provides a really good overview of the car wash business. If you go to risingtideu, .com, that's a great overview of the training activities that we're doing. And if you go to our YouTube channel, there's a ton of videos there as well, and our Facebook page. that's also a great resource to connect with the community of people that are really passionate about this.
That's great. Now, tell us about your brother. Tell us about Andrew, how he's doing.
Andrew's doing great. So Andrew, I'll tell a quick story about Andrew and kind of talk about the impact that we have on our employees kind of more broadly. Andrew has been working here since pretty much we started about 3 years now. And when he started working with us, I think he exhibited a lot of the typical traits that a young man with autism may have, very, let's say, restricted diet, kind of thinking, that whole idea of theory of mind, where he's thinking myopically about his own point of view and not really thinking about what others think or how to empathize with other people. And by working with us, he's grown markedly in those areas. Actually, about a year ago now, we took a trip to New York, which is where we're from originally. It was myself, my dad, John, my mom, and Andrew. And we were getting off the plane, and all of a sudden we look up and we're like, "Where's Andrew? Where'd he go?" We look up the aisle, and he's got all of our bags, carrying them out of the plane, and we're like, "Wow!" Like, a year ago, there's no way that Andrew would have thought to take everybody else's stuff. He probably still would have been 50 yards ahead of us, but he would have had just his headphones in and his iPad, and would have left the bags to us. And things like that, of thinking about other people and being part of a team and having the confidence to do things that he's not necessarily comfortable with naturally are just super inspiring for us.
Well, that's a great story and a great specific, and it sounds like he's making great strides, and you have a great model there. And so when someone wants to partner up with you on somebody wants to open their own car wash in Fort Lauderdale or something, is it like a turnkey franchise kind of thing, or what's the model you have when you help set somebody up, or a partnership, or how does it work?
Yeah, so in South Florida, we're looking for partners where we're essentially managing the operation, and we have an investor in. We also are teaching people. We're going to open we're doing immersion programs where people come and they spend a few days with us and learn the ins and outs of the business, and they can then adapt that to their community. We're not pursuing a franchise at this point. That is something that I think, as we grow and mature as an organization, is still an option. But today we're looking at essentially partnerships where it's an investor as well as a management training.
Well, that's great. I want to read for our audience some of the things. I wish I had memorized this, but I haven't. And I just want to, because I know, Tom, you're too modest to talk about this stuff, but you attended the Unreasonable Institute Global, one of the most prestigious social impact accelerator programs in the world, in the summer of 2014. Rising Tide was chosen from 240 applying companies worldwide as one of 13 carefully vetted ventures. You were accepted into the Young Entrepreneurs Council in 2015. Rising Tide has been featured in Forbes along with you. You and your dad were invited to speak at February 2014 at the TEDx in Coconut Grove. Tell us a little bit about the TEDx that you spoke at.
Yeah, it was an awesome experience. I did it together with my father, John, and we shared our story in a way that we had never shared before. I mean, we've practiced a lot to do that. It was actually, I've done a decent amount of public speaking, but that was the most nervous I'd ever been, and my father's ever been in front of an audience, because it's TED, it's like this big giant event. But I mean, the audience really embraced us, and I think we really told the story in a concise way that hammered it home. That I really encourage anybody to take a look at it. It's on YouTube, and it was a really special night for my family.
Is there anything else you'd like to say? Anything you think we didn't cover, or you'd like to emphasize a little differently, or?
So the only thing that I had in my notes that I wanted to touch on that I didn't yet was that another huge advantage of employing people with autism is so there's two that I didn't mention yet, and the first is that the word of mouth and earned media value of employing people with autism, because so many people care about this message, is a huge advantage for a business, specifically like ours, that is typically looked at as a homogenous good that is, you're not really thinking about trying a new car wash. You just go to the one that's closest to you, and as long as they don't really piss you off, you're just going to keep going to that car wash. You're not going to talk about it at dinner or anything like that. With us, people are willing to try us because of how capable, or how inspiring our story is, I should say, and then they come and they get a great quality service and they keep coming back. So that behavior change tool is huge. The media loves us, which has been fantastic for the business as well. So we don't have to spend anything in advertising because we get the exposure through media. As well as that same mission uniting our management team and allowing us to attract really top talent. So our management team right now is made up of two CPAs, my dad, John, and our CFO, Tommy, an experienced restaurant manager in Kevin, who's our general manager, who had opened 11 bars and restaurants before working here. Our store level managers, Corey was the captain of the Lynn basketball team. Nick, his brother's on the autism spectrum, and he's just an absolute stud. And we've been able to attract not only really capable employees with autism, but because we're employing really capable people with autism, able to attract excellent management talent as well.
Well, that's great. I am a customer there, and they do an exceptionally good job. The best car wash I ever had. The staff is happy, capable, they're having a good time, and they pay real attention to detail. So I want to thank you, Thomas Derry, and keep up the great work in regards to the whole gang and your family there at Rising Tide Car Wash, and we'll see you there soon.
Thank you so much, Hacky.
We've been speaking here at Exploring Different Brains with Tom Derry, one of the co-founders and the chief operating officer of Rising Tide Car Wash. For more information, visit us at differentbrains.com.